If you suffer from terrible cramps currently and you're already paying attention to your hydration and your electrolyte intake, don't worry, we'll get to that. You can fix that acutely right away with Vigorous Steve here with the ultimate cure for Clenbuterol cramps. So that means no more crazy cramps in the abs, locking you up entirely when you're laughing your ass off with your bros. No more crazy cramps in the adductors when you're trying to have sex with your significant other following a leg day. Man, such a deal breaker, dude. I used to get those all the time. You train your ass off in the gym, then you get lucky a little bit later, a couple hours into the night, but halfway through, your adductors are locked, and then you have to put yourself on the side of the bed with your legs in all kinds of weird positions, expecting a rim job, but it's solely to stretch you out so you don't have this crazy cramps in your adductors. No more crazy cramps in the jawline following meals containing mostly dry cooked chicken. Nasty, but that's sometimes what you have to get done in order for you to get nasty shredded. And no more crazy cramps in the heart following a breakup, albeit that there's a lot of comortalities out there nowadays, so I can't guarantee that this protocol will work. But before we get into it, please like the video, leave a comment for the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by joining either the YouTube or Patreon memberships, where you can vote for upcoming deep dives, or join the weekly Vigorous Q&A, where you don't have to ask about preventing Clenbuterol cramps, because this is what the video is intended for. You can still ask other questions privately for an entire hour. It goes public, and then it turns into a super chat. Super flood. First thing you need to do to prevent Clen-Cramps, just drink some water. Hydration, over 4 liters per day if you're physically active, maybe even more. Personally, I drink 10 liters of water per day. I know you guys think I'm crazy, but I live in a climate where you sweat buckets 24/7 and thus lose a lot of electrolytes. So in order for me to sustain my electrolyte balance with high electrolyte intake, my water intake is also significantly high. I made videos about this. I'll link them at the end of this one. Besides consistent hydration and water intake, look into taurine intake. Taurine regulates the osmotic pressure, the osmotic water balance between intracellular and extracellular space. So if you want metabolic waste products to exit skeletal muscle and nutrients, including electrolytes, to come in, taurine intake needs to be increased to 1,000 milligrams with meals or 5,000 milligrams pre-workout, 5,000 milligrams total daily. Keep in mind that clenbuterol stimulates the beta-2 adrenergic receptors of the heart and skeletal muscle. And since the heart contains a lot of taurine, taurine metabolism does go up, and thus your taurine intake needs to go up substantially. If you suffer from terrible cramps currently and you're already paying attention to your hydration and your electrolyte intake, don't worry, we'll get to that. Make sure you take 10 grams, 10,000 milligrams of taurine until the cramps start to subside, and then you go to a maintenance dose of 5,000 milligrams, 5 grams of taurine per day, multitude of servings with meals or all pre-workouts. On the subject of electrolytes, it's a little bit nuanced because, of course, I don't know how much you sweat. I don't know how much electrolytes you get from your diet already. So I would say, to play it safe, at least 2,500 milligrams sodium per day, at least 4,700 milligrams potassium per day, at least 1,000 milligrams calcium per day, and magnesium can be anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day, some coming from food, some coming from supplements. If you go the supplemental route, magnesium, glycinate, bisglycinate, citrate, 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams with each meal for an extra 1,000 milligrams total per day on top of what you're getting from your diet. Just keep in mind that high magnesium intake from supplements can cause diarrhea. So if you start to get a little bit loose poop, dial back the magnesium a little bit, unless you like everything moving through a little bit faster than usual. Then consider an electrolyte formula intra-workout or during cardio sessions. Gorilla Mind has a great formula. One sachet contains 750 milligrams sodium, 545 milligrams potassium, 50 milligrams calcium, and 100 milligrams magnesium. Personally, I take 2 sachets intra-workout. Even though I'm not taking clenbuterol, I feel that this ideal ratio of electrolytes intra-workouts highly beneficial to improve and sustain my stamina. Of course, I take taurine pre-workout as well. So I would say that an electrolyte formula plus a little bit of taurine can be 1,000 milligrams or whatever is contained within the Gorilla Mind hydration formula, which contains a little bit of taurine. Very, very ideal to prevent cramps and improve and sustain overall endurance and stamina. Then look into a vitamin K complex. Personally, I like the Zero Formulas K complex containing 2,000 IUs vitamin D3, 500 micrograms K1, 1500 micrograms K2-MK4 and 180 micrograms K2-MK7. Now, this doesn't directly negate or prevent cramps, but it helps with electrolyte balance and electrolyte transport, particularly calcium into bones and skeletal muscle. So this formula, alongside of proper electrolyte intake, highly beneficial for electrolyte content, again, within skeletal muscle or the bones. And if you suffer from terrible cramps, you can fix that acutely right away with diet tonic water containing quinine. 1 can of diet tonic water contains about 29 milligrams of quinine, 83 milligrams per 1 liter, apparently. And 1 can is usually all that it takes to stop terrible cramps dead in their tracks. I used to bring diet tonic water with me to all the weigh-ins at the World Championships because a lot of athletes would overdo the diuretics. And then 1 can of diet tonic water or regular tonic water with a little bit of sugar would cure the cramps right there. And if you want to know the difference between diet tonic water and regular tonic water, both contain quinine, but the regular tonic water obviously contains some sugars. And if you overdid the diuretics, flushing out a good amount of potassium or only sodium or a combination of several electrolytes, again, depends on which diuretic you took. If you understand how electrolytes are excreted and you understand how you can replenish the electrolytes, if you particularly need to reintroduce potassium, then I would rather go with a tonic water containing sugar because sugar will help to absorb the potassium into skeletal muscle and then prevent cramping a lot faster than regular diet tonic water. And then the last thing you can look into is good old deep tissue therapy massages. Because if you have a lot of adhesions, you also have impaired blood flow to particular areas of skeletal muscle. And with the impaired blood flow, the hydration and the taurine and the electrolytes, and the quinine for that matter, is simply not going to reach it optimally. So if you have some adhesions, in the hips or other parts of the body, right, the adductors even, because you train insane because you want to grow, the adhesions will prevent some of these nutrients to end up in that tissue and thus might worsen the cramps that you get from the clenbuterol or the overuse of diuretics for that matter. Deep tissue massage therapy will save your life. Ever since I started doing regular deep tissue massage therapy, grass on technique, even a little bit of active release therapy, no more cramps, whether I use clenbuterol or not, diuretics or not. The blood flow through all of my skeletal muscle, sweet, all of the nutrients are being delivered. I can't believe we got this done so fast. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. You can find everything that I'm associated with down below in the YouTube description section. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Vigorous Steve. Vigorous crew, you guys know what to do. A front double bicep for you guys. No more Clenbuterol cramps or cramps in general because I'm always on top of my taurine and electrolyte intake. So all of these issues have long since been resolved. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.